All right, so uh, oh, let me know how's the network, how's the image, and how's the sound. Just checking on the tech stuff before getting started. Uh, shit. Probably. Okay, checking sound, checking voice, checking connection. See, let me confirm this. Okay, checking. All right, seems like everything is fine now. Just gonna wait for maybe a couple of more people to show up, and then we can get started. For those of you who just joined, let me know in the chat if you can hear me properly and if you can see me properly, and there's no problem with the connections. Maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, and I'll get started with the today's news. What's new in SEO? Okay, so never mind. I'm just gonna get started now. So, for those of you who come and join later, this is a SEO live show just as every week, and apologize for for my previous videos where I mentioned that I'm gonna go live on every 8:30 a.m. EST time zone. It's actually 9:30 a.m. EST time zone. So, apologize for my um, mistake there. So yeah, my live stream will be on every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. EST time zone. So keep that in mind. And this show will be divided into two main parts. First will be will be what's new in SEO. Basically, I'll go through the latest news, right, from the past week up until today. And the second part will be the Ask Me Anything Plus quick site audit, in which you can ask your questions, and also you can also share your website link in the chat, and I'll do a quick SEO audit for your website. So without further ado, let's dive right into what's new in SEO this week as well as last week. Okay, so here is where I get all my SEO news from. Is from seroundtable.com. So make sure you check this website out. It's a very informative website. The first news for today, this is just the latest news, is that Google is now gonna move the last batch of sites to mobile first indexing. As you recall, I think back in 2018 when Google announced that they would be, doing mobile first indexing, basically means they will index the mobile version of your website, right, in their search results. So since then they've been, like slowly migrating, different sites to mobile first indexing, right? And their deadline, and they've been, kind of they've already changed their deadline so many times, right? Like up until when they will, completely switch up every site on the internet to mobile first indexing. And finally, they have kind of nailed it, the what do you say, the deadline, and they're gonna move the last batch of websites to mobile first indexing very soon. So if I recall correctly, um, it is so as you can see here, it might be March, might be April, or even May. So I'm not sure if they already have their fixed deadline, but it will be this year for sure. Definitely, that's what they said. That all the sites will be migrated to mobile first indexing. Oh, we've got our first chat here. Hi, Harjot. How are you doing? Okay. So the next news I have here is the uh, this news. So again, Google has come out and stated that it's all about link quality and not link quantity. So when you build your backlinks, obviously focus on quality, not quantity. And it has been like this since, I don't know, for the past few years now. So remember, of course, quantity does still matter. Like, you would still would want to get a couple number of links, but 10 good quality links is, are far better than, like 100 millions or even more, billions of, low quality links. So make sure you focus on quality first, and then you then look at your quantity later. And there's also another news related to backlinks. Again, Google John Mueller came out and said that many sites, think too much about backlinks, right? Or they think that backlinks are, are like, they think more than necessary. Like, and this is kind of true in the sense that, backlink is not everything. And what I've seen is that, what website owners, they're like kind of crazy, right, and trying to go after backlinks and all those stuff, which in reality backlinks nowadays is far less powerful than they were before. Right now, you should be focusing on other stuff, right? Like, of course backlinks are still important, but they should not be, like uh way too much, like when it comes to your SEO strategies. So again, another confirmation from Google, from John Mueller, that backlink is definitely not everything there. And this also a study done by Ahrefs last week, which concluded that about 65% of all web pages on the internet have no backlinks, right? So this is quite surprising. And also, moreover, the main thing about the study was 94.3% of pages out of 2 million pages that they analyzed from their study didn't even get a single visitor from Google search. Now that's really interesting, right? So think about it. Only about, less than 6% of the entire pages on the internet. Obviously, it's just from 2 million pages, but the number that those pages that get traffic from Google is really really less, right? As you can see here. So this clearly shows how difficult SEO can be and how difficult it is to really get traffic from Google, right? And also in this news, so yesterday I think there was the data published by Rand Fishkin, who was one of the biggest iconic person in SEO industry, and who is the co-founder I think of Moz, one of the most famous SEO tools out there, and of course the domain authority and those metrics. So yesterday, Rand Fishkin shared a data which says that about 65% of all the searches on Google didn't result in click, right? And Google today came out with an article and responded that the 65% study is incorrect, and they claimed that Google sends billions of clicks to websites every single day. So and they've kind of summarized this up in their blog post here. So I'll maybe leave a link for you and you can read it out. Again, it's quite controversial. They don't really share any data, but they just came up with all this you know like article content. So you decide like what do you think about the data. I'll just share the link here. Okay. And so that's pretty much it. And actually, there's also another news in local SEO which I would maybe want to kind of share about it later. But as of now, what's new in SEO, and from the past week, something is now over. Now maybe we'll wait and see how many more people would join, and then we can get started with the Q&A section as well. Okay, so we're waiting for more people to join and ask the questions. For those who just joined, I just finished the what's new in SEO this week as well as last week. And if you want, I can kind of summarize it out for you. Otherwise, you can uh, rewatch the video again after this live is done. Okay. Just gonna wait for more people to join, and then we maybe get started with the SEO Q&A. So Harjot, do you have any questions? Since you're in the chat right now, I think you're the only one. Not sure. It shows there are two viewers at the moment. So if you have any question, you can ask. Chat rate. Oh, hi there, Mike. Okay, so Harjot asked how BERT affected SEO. This is a great question, Harjot, and glad you asked because no one has really asked this question before, and I don't even realize how important it is. Okay, so BERT, I think it stands for bidirectional. I'm not sure, something in E, and R, I'm also not sure, and T is transformer, right? So it is a transformer AI, which was released by Google, I think, in 2019. Initially, they released it as some kind of like an open source for the machine learning language, and then I think it was released in 2018, and then in 2019 they implemented into their search result in Google search, right? So Google implemented BERT back in October 2019, and initially it was available to 12 languages, English, 12 languages, and it was only available, I think, in the US search results. And then I think the beginning of this year, BERT was available to like worldwide, or maybe I think the end of last year. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was about the end of last year. So, what does BERT do? It is, it is be able to understand the context of the query, right, from both the directions. That is where the word B stands for, bi-directional. So it can understand the context from both directional. So when it looks at the query, it looks at both left and right. Whereas initially Google only go in one direction, right? So when they try to understand the query, they analyze from left to right only. But then with BERT, now Google will be able to understand the meaning of the word from left to right, and then will be able to determine what that query is all about. And BERT has really changed SEO in a big way in when it comes to like your content and everything, especially your on page SEO. So let's say if someone search for, I think there was an example there shown in the Google official blog. I'll show you right now. So Google BERT, they showed some example in which they compared the old search results versus the new BERT. So this is one. Okay, so let's say for this example, right? Someone does a search for 2019 Brazil traveler to USA need a visa. Now, obviously, we as a human, we understand that we want to know as a Brazilian, we want to travel to USA. Do we need a visa? Initially, what was before here is Google analyzed only from left to right, so it doesn't understand the context here. So this was the search result how it was prior to BERT. So as you can see, US citizens can travel to Brazil without the red tape of visa. So it was doing just one-on-one matching here. Whereas right now, after the BERT implementations, it understands that, okay, tourism and visitor, US embassy and consulates, right, in Brazil. So it's now showing a search result for Brazilian who want to go to embassy and apply for visa, right? And this show how BERT has advanced, or helped, the in understanding the language is much better. So if you were able to rank for your website like this after BERT, your ranking might be completely disappear, right, for the same query here, as you can see. And you might think like, okay, they might only use it for long tail keyword, and that is not true at all. BERT is used for all kinds of queries, even short tail or long tail. And this has affected on page in a big way, in a sense that now you're not just optimizing for a keyword, but you also optimize for the intent or the context or the meaning of the page as well. Okay, yep, Harjot is correct. Bidirectional encoder representation from transformers. Yeah, that's the full form of BERT, and this is how it affects SEO. So nowadays with all the core updates and all the Google updates, they seem to be kind of doing the tweaks in their algorithms and how their transformers understand context and stuff like that. And that is basically how important BERT is really. So it completely changed how on page works really, at the core fundamental level. I hope that answers your questions. That was like a quick overview of how BERT would affect SEO in general. Any more questions? I'll maybe link a blog post here as well in case anyone wants to check out here. Any more questions, Harjot? I hope that's clear for you. So like that really like kind of put a nail in the coffin of all the, what do you say, all the so-called SEO tools, right? Like the simple SEO tools such as like Yoast SEO and all those, right? Like the simple plugins, stuff like that. Uh, I think is it buffering or something? Let me. Okay, can you hear me properly? I think there was a buffering. Okay, so I think it's now working. Not sure, maybe there was an internet connection problem. So Mike asked, when acquiring backlinks, I've heard that even though a site has high DA or AS in SEMrush, so AS stands for Authority Score, which is a metric by SEMrush on measuring the backlinks authority. The site is considered a spam site, and backlinks from this high DA site won't be helpful. And Mike asked, how can this be identified to know if it's link worth, if it's link worth pursuing? Okay. So, yep, all these metrics, right, that used to kind of determine the authority of links are third-party metrics, and therefore they can be manipulated, right? And also, they're not used by Google in any shape or form. So, the biggest, what do you say? The biggest sign of whether or not you would be, if you would know if it's worth pursuing, is to look at the traffic, right? So look at the traffic and kind of compare it with the metric and see in conjunction whether they both make sense or not. Let's say if it's a DA of 50, but the traffic is, let's say only about 500 visitors per month for that site. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? And obviously they must have done something that kind of shady in the background, maybe like manipulating their DA to sell guest posts, stuff like that. So you would kind of want to look at the traffic in conjunction with the metrics and then see, whether or not it's worth pursuing the backlinks from that site. Moreover, you would also look at, other factors such as the relevance of the website, or at least, make sure that that website has certain pages, or has certain section on the site that kind of relevant to your website at least. And so yeah, so look at the metrics, look at the traffic, and look at the relevancy of the site in general as well. So those are my three recommendations. So traffic is a big thing to look at when it comes to um, measuring, whether it's or not it's worth pursuing that the link from that site. So hope that answers your questions, Mike. Maybe I'll wait for a couple of viewers to join, and I'll go through an interesting news which you wouldn't believe just may be happening very soon as well in local SEO space. So maybe I'll wait for maybe a couple of more people to join, like bring this up to maybe 7 or 8, and I'll show you an interesting news in local SEO. It's not a news really, it's a rumors actually, but it may be very well happening very soon, which is very very scary. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense as well. That why would Google be doing that? So um, it's a surprise, little surprise. Just wait maybe for a little more people to join, and then I'll kind of disclose about that. But just a hint, it is related to Google My Business listing, not the website ranking in general. So maybe if you don't focus on Google My Business, um, you might not find it interesting. But again, it is kind of scary, but also at the same time, um, is the direction which Google seems to be going. So right now we have 4 people, 4 viewers in the chat or in the live stream. So not sure how many people will show up today, but obviously I'm gonna leave in maybe about half an hour from now. So ask your questions, or even uh, give me your link to the website. If you want me to do a quick audit, that can also be done as well. Okay, so never mind. I think I'll just disclose the news. Um, so this is an interesting news. Um, so this is a from a Facebook group where I'm a part of. It's a local SEO Facebook group. Let me do a search for that post first. So two pack. Yeah. So uh, you know, on March 21st, someone here did notice that he often sees 2 pack and not always 3 pack. So it seems as if Google is testing having 2 packs instead of 3 packs, right? So in the Google My Business listing, you would normally get 3 pack, right, or 3 listings shown there. But from time to time, this person has been seeing 2 pack and not 3 pack. And more shockingly, a couple of people also did report it, seeing the same similar situation as well. This is from one of the groups where I'm a part of. In another group, also the same situation happened, and from another post. And it was just today morning, I saw it. Again, people report seeing 2 pack and not 3 pack. So obviously, that was a a shocking news that Google might be testing showing 2 pack instead of 3 pack, and they might and they very well be pushing hard for more local ads, right? So and anyway, for those of you who don't know, Google My Business used to be 8 packs, or they used to show 8 listings in those packs. I think in 2017, I'm not sure when it was, they reduced it to 3 pack. and now they could be reducing it to 2 pack as well, as reported by a couple of people, seeing that they seem to be testing it. Some people claim that it could be very well, in a low competition keyword or low competition niche, which I obviously have also seen it from time to time, right? For certain keywords where it is, very small city or very small competitions, you would normally see two pack there. But um, more people actually report seeing it in even like in more competitive niche, right? I don't know what are the niches that they've seen, but they claim to be competitive. So not sure. There's like really shocking news, right? Like for local SEOs out there, and even small businesses, right? Like they would be obviously suffering a lot with that with this. Like getting into 3 pack is obviously not easy. All right, getting to the top two now would be more even. It would be even more difficult. So Mike said, probably to make more room for ads. Yup, definitely. This is what Google has been pushing, right? They obviously they want to keep on generating revenue. Therefore, ads is their only ways of generating revenue, right? And we've seen it, we've seen it since the beginning, right? Like they've been constantly changing their layout, their SERP layout, right? To kind of blend in their ads with the organic listings, and and like they've been testing and showing ads in various different ways almost every single day. And right now they're on the point where, if you've seen, right, from time to time they're also now testing dark mode as well. So if you enable dark mode, you will see that the ads totally blend in with the search results, right? I'm not sure if you've seen this, but they've been kind of rolling they kind of rolled this out for a couple of months now, I think, for the dark mode. You'll see sometimes when you do a search for certain keyword, if you enable that dark mode, you'll see that the ads are completely blending with the search results. So they've been really pushing hard in kind of blending in the ads with the search results. And local map pack is also another way which they can obviously make money off, right? So that's really interesting. It's kind of rumors, like it's not officially in any of the news website right now. It's just reported by a couple of people. But I wouldn't be surprised if they would actually roll it out in real time. But again, if they do it, many of the small business owners might kind of, there might be a big war between Google and small business owners. I'm not sure. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this. All right, any more questions? There are 3 people watching here. So Mike is there, I think. Harjot is there, I think, and maybe one more. I'm not sure. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat, and I'll try to answer them um, best I can. Harjot said, "Lol, war." Yep. Definitely. I mean, really. I mean, they really monopolize the search, right? Like if you look at the market share, I think Google now owns like 90% of the search market share. So that's really a big number. So, but again, we're still kind of dependent on them as well, and it's obviously their search results, so they can do anything whatever they want. So but of course it's unfair. It's unfair to small businesses, but again, it's their search. So um Today, not many people have joined actually. So, if we don't get many questions, so I'm just gonna maybe end the live stream sooner than usual. Maybe in like 10 minutes or something from now. Mike said, I can't wait for Google to lose market share. Someday it will happen. Um, yeah, probably. I mean, it would be a very long time. It would be like people like even even for people who don't really know how to use the internet still know about Google, right? Like they would say, like, can you go to Google, or can you just Google it, stuff like that. So I mean, it would be very hard for sure, right? Because many people and many generations, like, it's kind of inherited or something that they really know about Google and not anything else. So it will be very hard because we're now all used to it. But it might happen someday, but I don't know, maybe. It's interesting. I mean, how dominant they are in the market share and stuff like that. They're literally everywhere. They're really like, they almost the entire internet belongs to them. Like if you look at it carefully, like the biggest search engine is Google. The second biggest search engine is YouTube, which is again owned by Google. The biggest what do you say, the mobile operating system, which has the biggest market share, is uh again Android, which is again owned by Google. So, and the most popular mail service is again Gmail, which is again owned by Google. So Mike said, I find that most older people I know use MSN and Yahoo. Yeah, that's true. I mean, because they have been there right before Google, right? Like Yahoo, of course, is one of the first search engines, I think. But what I meant by not even people who know how to use internet still use Google. What I mean by here is, like the average middle aged people, right? Like not really old people, but even what do you say? So like in some rural area, right? Rural area. So what I mean by that, like people who don't really get access to internet enough, they still know Google. Like even the young people, right? Or even middle-aged people, they know Google even though they don't get access to internet enough. So for older generation, of course, Yahoo and MSN are definitely what they would use. But yeah, in even the new generations. But again, it could change very well because with all the privacy issues that Google is now having, with all that about how they track our behaviors and how they track our search and stuff like that. All the new younger generations of people who really respect their privacies, maybe start stopping using Google, right? So hoping that the new younger generations who care more about their privacy would maybe change their mind and start using others, such as DuckDuckGo or Bing, stuff like that, which has more privacy, right? So we'll see. It's an interesting thing to see, if Google loses market share. I think in 2014, they were dominating, like I think 70% of all the search market, and right now we're in like 2021. So not right now. I'm not sure, but it's about 90s, 91 or 92, I think. So it doesn't seem to slow down, but maybe in the future they could be slowed down, right, with all the new younger generations. 9, 10. Some of the regular regular viewers who join chats in the couple of first ones are not really present today. So um, even the new ones, I think the new ones, uh, some of them were waiting and then they left. I think, not sure. So I'm just gonna open it like this, and if you have any question, you can shoot me. I mean, right now I'm kind of free, so I'm just gonna wait and see all of your questions if you have, and then I'm just gonna leave maybe a little bit before time or at the same time as usual. I'm also trying to find question here on Facebook, so if I find good ones, can maybe answer some of them here. Okay, so this is a good questions. Someone asked on a Facebook group, does domain name make any difference in SEO terms? So this guy, so someone suggested this guy to change his domain name to .co.uk as he is based in the UK. Domain name does matter for SEO, right? If you have like keyword in your domain name, that is obviously a good signal. Is let's say you're a roofing service in, let's say, in Los Angeles, and if your domain name contain any part of your keyword, such as let's say joeroofingla.com, stuff like that, that is obviously a big signal that Google looks at, right, and trying to figure out what your website is about. So domain name does obviously matter. And also he asks like the TLD, right, the top level domain. So whether he should change his domain, let's say from .com to .co.uk, or let's say if you're in Canada, it would change from .com to .ca. Um, so these are called as location TLD, right? So if you want to rank in any specific countries or any specific locations, ideally you would want to have that country specific TLD in your domain name, right? So in this case, if you want to rank in UK, obviously you would try to get .co.uk. But with that being said, is it necessary? It's not necessary, but will it help with your SEO? It will definitely help. It will give you an edge over those which do, use like traditional .com, right? But again, if you want to rank globally, then it is better to go with .com or .net or .org, stuff like that. And also, if if your website is already ranking with a .com, then I suggest you to change it to .co.uk or stuff like that. I mean, changing the domain name or changing the URL is one of the biggest mistake that you can do to harm your website's ranking. So never change your URL or domain name unless you don't really rank for anything, or like you kind of very you're like struggling in a big way to rank for any of your keywords. So let me see here. Not really a lot of good questions. Mostly are like uh kind of very basic type questions. So not really good questions. Couldn't find any good ones. Harjo said we need PR. What do you mean by PR? PR for what, Harjo? Branding Tech Jackie. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really looking to brand myself in any way, form. Like I mentioned in the first video, that I kind of just want to do it out of fun, right? Like, so, and of course, if the algorithms show me to people who are interested in SEO, obviously they're gonna follow me, right? If they like it. So I don't really care much. Like, I'm just doing it just for fun. Um, so yeah, it's just my free time, anyways. So I'm just wasting it here. I mean, of course, I also shared my announcement, like I go live in on Wednesday here, and and at this time, every times. But if they want to join, they can join. If they don't want to learn, or if they are busy or stuff like that, and obviously they can't join. So that really doesn't matter much. I'm just gonna do live like this, right? And if someone decides to join it, or if the algorithm shows this video to someone else, if he decides to join, and he can obviously ask questions. Otherwise, I'm just gonna leave at the same time anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, from my previous lives were also quite doing well. I mean, many people actually went back and watched them, like, or and also many people did discover those live videos after the live stream was over as well. So over time, obviously, they will know more about it, and they will come and join later as time passes. Um, so yeah, can't seem to find any good question here that I can answer. Anyway, about just 10 minutes left for me. If I don't see any questions, I'll leave. And probably this video, not sure how well it will help others, but there are lots of good stuff in the beginning, so definitely they can learn something. Especially the two pack, the GMBs. That's really interesting. I don't think anyone released a video on that yet, so hopefully they will get the idea there. Don't seem to have any more questions really. Arjun asks, is SEO dying? I mean, that's interesting questions. Where did you get that questions from, Harjot? Um, well, SEO is definitely not dying in a sense that uh, what do you say? I mean, the traditional type of SEO actually is dead, right? Like the old type of SEO where SEO used to be, yeah, in the past, SEO used to be just about links. So the more links you have to your page and the more keyword stuffing you do on the page, the better, the higher you're gonna rank. But nowadays, it's not just easy as that. There are like a whole bunch of stuff that requires you to do. And let's say for on page, for optimization of your content, it's not just simply about adding your keywords, right? You have to consider like many things. And also the links importance again have decreased over time. Up to till today, the links importance is almost um like not virtually zero, but it's not really that often important anymore really at the moment. So, in a sense, is SEO dying? Traditional way of SEO is dead. It's completely dead. Whereas the new way of SEO, or the essence of treating SEO as marketing or branding, or getting your business out there and you do all kinds of marketing, generating all the buzz, and the latest, the new way of SEO, you can call it like that. That is very much alive. But the problem is, in order to do proper SEO nowadays, it's really difficult. So many people have stopped doing it because they find it too difficult to do it. So SEO, in a way that optimizing your website and getting search traffic, is still very much alive, and it will become more alive as time passes, because people use search, right? People use search all the time to find what they want, and the numbers not shown to even slowing down at any time soon. So um but the way of doing SEO is needs to change, right? Needs to People need to adapt. So that's basically my opinion on this. I'm not sure if anyone would say anything else, but the old way of SEO is dead, and the definition of SEO, or the approach to SEO, is still very much alive, and it's not going anywhere soon. But you have to adapt with time. Um, Harjo said we more of have Google Meet stream via YouTube. Yeah. Do you mean the Google Hangout? Google Hangout. Yeah. I think that was used for YouTube live streaming, and I think until 2018 or 2019 when Google decided to um, stop supporting Google Hangout, or I'm not sure if they have completely stopped it or just for YouTube live stream. But right now YouTube has its own live stream built-in instead of using Google Hangout. So um, I mean, I've seen and I've heard that it's much better than the current YouTube live stream system. So um, I used to use it as well just for playing around. I remember the old green icon on the phone, right? YouTube, Google Hangout. Okay, just 5 more minutes, I think, and I'll leave. If no one joins, I'll just quickly leave. By the way, Harjot, like since you're in the computer science in the like programming and stuff like that, right? Like you're really into AI and stuff like that. I think you would be doing really well when it comes to SEO for sure. just a just a an opinion from me, but like if you like you already have the fundamentals, right? You already have the knowledge. If you start like looking to SEO, I think you would kind of understand it, the concept really quickly, because now it's not just about understand like optimization stuff like that. It's more like if you really want to do well in SEO, you have to really dive into details how the algorithm works and stuff like that. Of course, we don't know how the actual algorithm works, but there are like patents, and there are like research papers around the artificial intelligence and all those. And Google also do publish their documents from time to time, like in what essence of technologies they're using, such as BERT, for instance. Or when they released their algorithm in 2013, it was called rank brain. They based it on vectors called word to vec, which again I'm pretty sure you're kind of familiarized with that as well. So, if you dive into details into all these stuff with all your artificial intelligence and machine learning knowledge, I'm quite sure you'll be doing really well in the field here. So, yeah. And you can even build tools, tools to do all these stuff, like, to come up with, let's say you want to do on page, right? Like, let's say, for example, you want to optimize your page for a keyword. Then you would have a tool which go around the internet, like like a bot, and scrape all the words and scrape all the important words, and then process it, and then see which vectors or which words would belong to each other, right? And should be on your page for that keyword, stuff like that. And and that could really benefit a lot as well. And that is like the real way of doing SEO, really, to be honest, not just putting the keyword or stuff like that. Okay, so I guess that's all for today. We don't have much questions, and just gonna leave now. For viewers, there are two viewers at the moment. I'm not sure. One is Harjot, the other one I'm not sure who's who is viewing right now. If you have any questions, final questions for today, you can ask. Otherwise, I'm gonna end the stream. Any questions? Okay, don't seem to have any questions now. So I guess that's all for today. And again, just to remind, I go live on YouTube on every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. EST and not 8:30 a.m., which I used to announce here. Um, so you can join in and ask your questions. And as always, have good luck with your rankings, and thank you all of you for joining for today's live stream. Yeah, see you, Harjot. See you.